On the official Hellfire Caves website, the inner temple is reported to be several hundred feet beneath the church on top of the hill, and a plaque in the caves at the inner temple location reports its depth to be 100 meters beneath the church. 100 meters is approximately 330 feet. Thus, the official geographic location of the inner temple is 100 meters or 330 feet beneath St. Lawrence Church, a church of which is located on the highest point of West Wickham Hill. Wikipedia.com reports the inner temple's depth at 300 feet, or 90 meters. But, Aquisium.com begs to differ, and places the inner temple to the east of St. Lawrence Church.
Geographically, the banqueting hall lies over 100 feet below the hilltop, and a short distance to the east of the mausoleum. This pretty much debunks the idea that the inner temple is located directly under the Church of St. Lawrence. Our own measurements actually place the inner temple quite some way off, and aligns the river Styx with a small stream northeast of the church.
The author never believed that the inner temple was located beneath St. Lawrence Church, and estimates its true position to be due east of the official location. It appears to the author that creative writing has been employed to place a known tunnel system over the location of a rumored tunnel system, in order to psychologically eliminate the possibility of the existence of that rumored tunnel system in the minds of cave visitors. Could this be a method by which rumors of secret passages in the caves are safely advertised for publicity purposes? In other words, to advertise rumors of secret passages, and then have paying visitors walk in the areas where those secret passages are supposed to exist, so that they find no evidence of the aforementioned secret passages. The theory does, of course, rest on the assumption that the real tunnels, and the proposed secret tunnels, are at the same depth in the hill, something of which is not known at the present time. Elsewhere on the official Hellfire Caves website, we see possible evidence for an alternative explanation for this inner temple location conundrum.
These numerals are inscribed on the wall about halfway down the caves. They are supposed to refer to a secret passage that is said to run from the caves to the church. However, no passage has ever been found, nor is it likely to exist, as the caves are some 300 feet below the church.
The reader is being persuaded to think that the secret passage to St. Lawrence Church is unlikely to exist, because the XXII location is at a depth of 300 feet, as measured from the church. I.e., the secret tunnel can't exist, because the caves are too deep in the area where the tunnel is supposed to be. But if the Dashwoods are so confident that this secret passage is unlikely to exist, then why do they continue to advertise its possible existence on the official Hellfire Caves website, and in the caves themselves? Could this be a method by which the possibility of a secret tunnel is promoted and dismissed simultaneously for publicity purposes? The author estimates the XXII location's depth to be no more than 100 feet below the surface. His assessment is based on a report taken from the official Hellfire Caves website, stating that the banqueting hall is 130 feet beneath the surface. In 1973, repair work was carried out on the banqueting hall. Holes were drilled directly down to the hall from the surface. Wire ropes were lowered into these boreholes, and were used to hoist a metal canopy up onto the hall ceiling. The canopy was then secured to the chalk using 300 steel bolts, thus making it safe for visitors. The author was very fortunate to have met an eyewitness to this event, and has been provided with the banqueting hall's approximate surface location. That location is shown here, and is roughly 70 meters due east of the mausoleum. When the official layout of the Hellfire Caves is superimposed over an aerial photograph of West Wickham Hill, with the inner temple positioned beneath St. Lawrence Church, it should become apparent to the viewer that the cave's entrance tunnel is tilted at a 45-degree angle to the courtyard, and the banqueting hall is positioned due south of the mausoleum. In real life, the courtyard and the entrance tunnel are both perfectly aligned to true north, and the banqueting hall is due east of the mausoleum. Here's a revised version of the diagram, with the entrance tunnel correctly orientated, and the inner temple repositioned using the banqueting hall's approximate location, as derived from the previously mentioned eyewitness report. The viewer is cautioned that this new adjusted layout is a good approximation based on assumptions and eyewitness testimony. It assumes that the cave diagram sourced from the official Hellfire Caves website is an accurate representation of the real structure, and that the eyewitness testimony is reliable. As such, the author's revised diagram should not be taken as a true and accurate depiction of the cave's actual shape, size, and orientation. But despite this, the author feels that his revised diagram is accurate enough to draw the following two conclusions. First, the revised diagram places the inner temple approximately 200 meters due east of the church, and approximately 160 meters north of the tunnel's entrance. From this, we can conclude that the inner temple is not located beneath the Church of St. Lawrence. Furthermore, the author feels that it is no coincidence that the inner temple is perfectly aligned to the entrance tunnel, and he suspects that there may have originally been a straight tunnel linking the inner temple to the entrance. This might explain the tunnel's sudden left turn at the Steward's Cave, and the abundance of brickwork in the surrounding area. The Steward's Cave itself looks like an artificial construct. At this location in the caves, it is difficult to determine where the masonry ends, and the chalk begins. Second, the Chambers Book of Days report says that the quarter-mile-long excavation runs under the church. A quarter of a mile is roughly 400 meters. Unfortunately, the Chambers Book of Days report does not make it clear if the 400-meter figure refers to the distance walked underground from the cave's entrance to its furthest location, or a straight-line distance from the cave's entrance to its furthest location. The author has estimated that, from the cave's entrance to the inner temple's revised location, the walked distance is approximately 260 meters, and the straight-line distance is approximately 160 meters. In either case, the inner temple's revised location falls woefully short of the quarter-mile figure given by the official Hellfire Caves website, and the Chambers Book of Days report. So, if we hold the Chambers Book of Days report to be true, Donald McCormick's research to be reliable, and the author's revised cave diagram to be sufficiently accurate, we could infer that there is a concealed portion of the caves that extends outward from the Children's Cave, passes beneath St. Lawrence Church and the Mausoleum, and ends somewhere in the northwest side of the hill. The author has a theory that might explain this inner temple location conundrum. Since the publication of the Chambers Book of Days in 1864, the Dashwood family must have been troubled by its report that broadly detailed the extent of the caves, especially the reference to a part of its structure running beneath St. Lawrence Church. Presumably, this report was written before the caves were partially sealed in the first half of the 19th century, and would therefore allude to the true size of the tunnel system, something of which the Dashwoods did not want the public to know, for reasons that are not known at the time of writing. As the caves needed to be reopened to the public in 1951 for a much-needed revenue stream, the Dashwoods decided to create a false narrative that would continue to conceal the true size of the caves, to provide mystery and intrigue for patronage, and to partially explain away the Chambers Book of Days report. In order to achieve this, they placed St. Lawrence Church over the inner temple, they spread rumors of secret passages that would never be found, and they allowed the paying public back into the smaller portion of the caves, while leading them to believe that what was on display had always represented the full extent of the tunnel system. The smaller cave layout had probably been configured during the first half of the 19th century, and since that time, had only been visited by locals, and remained unknown outside of the Wickham area. The author's theory could explain why the tunnel system seems to head in a northerly direction when he has walked it from end to end, and it might explain the 11th Baronet's 1987 abbreviated version of the Chambers Book of Days report, which he attributes to Caroline Libby Powys. The author would like to make it clear that he may have completely misread the situation, and produced an erroneous report on the caves. It is conceivable that the 11th Baronet had no knowledge of any secret tunnels. He may have made an honest mistake ascertaining the location of the inner temple, or he may have been fed bad information by a surveyor or map maker during the cave's restoration prior to the 1951 reopening. In light of the evidence and analysis presented, the viewer is asked to make up his, or her, own mind, about the cave's size, and the location of the inner temple.